and welcome back to Cup of Cheer. Wow, I cannot believe it's been another year since we last filmed, and I'm just so sluggish right now. Let me even see if that worked.
Yeah, I think we covered all the ones we know.
Howdy y'all, and welcome back to Cup of Cheer. So, how many of you have gone onto Pinterest to try and make a gift for your loved ones at Christmas? I admit, I'm totally with that crowd. I have made Christmas wreaths and ornaments and a few other odds and ends for Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, and planning a shower and a bachelorette party in my days. And usually I know my skill set, so I don't attempt things that are too outrageous, cost too much money, or any of that kind. So usually my Pinterests don't exactly fail. However, many Pinterest pins are a bit optimistic versus being realistic. So I thought I would put together a few DIY modified versus based on my attempts at Pinterest. So my first one I want to share with you is making a wreath. About 3 years ago, my mom and I saw this video about how to make a Christmas wreath out of simply a hanger, ornaments, some hot glue, and pliers. This was quite the fail. About a year later, I went to visit my friend and help her with her Christmas decorating, and I found this bag that was really weird feeling. I asked her what was in there. It was the wreath that we made for her. You see, what Pinterest didn't tell me was that if you should make this wreath for your friends and loved ones, A, don't use glass bulbs because they will pop off probably within the first 5 to 10 minutes of you trying to make this wreath. That one we found out before we gave them away. Secondly, once you have realized that the cheap bulbs are the best kind to use, and you have assembled your wreath, it takes about 2 to 3 people to actually hold it there while you manipulate the last 10 or 12 ornaments, and then get the darn thing put back together, and finally finish it with a bow or ribbon or other accoutrements to cover the kind of ugly opening that is at the top. But most importantly, do not allow your friends to put it on their doors, because any movement, gush of wind, earthquake, or even simply closing of the door will pop ornaments off left and right. So my friend was trying to piece this back together over and over and over and over throughout the course of 1.5 seasons. I hope that there is a picture out there. If there is, I will put it in this video. If there isn't, use your imagination, please. It is quite comical, or it was. She continued to use her hot glue gun to reattach these ornaments, and eventually started adding light strands to it and other ribbon. Oh, it was so sad. But she continued because she felt so loved by getting this wreath from my family. I honestly don't recommend making such a wreath. However, if you are to make it, have at least one other person help you. Use the cheapest ornaments you can find because actually they stay on the best. And tell your friends and loved ones to use it as an indoor wreath and not on a door. And that way it can last longer. So I felt really badly for my best friend for having such a Pinterest fail made by us. And I wanted to have a bit of a DIY do-over. So I went to the Dollar Tree this year because that's what I can afford. And I picked out a few items that I would like on a wreath for myself to make for her. First of all, I love burlap. I'm kind of allergic to it, but I love it anyways. And I love the bushels of foliage that they have for only $1, and you can get quite a lot in it. See if you can see these. This was all at the Dollar Tree for $1. You can get ornaments there. You can improvise your wire by getting ornament hooks there. You can even get burlap ribbon. This was made using only Dollar Tree items. And the following is a tutorial on how I made this wreath, all with items that you yourself hopefully can find at the Dollar Tree. Here's what we're starting with. A wreath frame. Yes, ladies and gents, I got this at the Dollar Tree. I also got 2 spools of burlap ribbon. So they're each $1 a piece. These are 3 yards each, and they're only 3 inches wide. So think about what you want to do with your wreath before you make your purchases. I'll go more into that in just a moment. I also was able to find these lovely little foliage pieces at the Dollar Tree. Each one of these bustles, or whatever you want to call them, of flowers was only $1 a piece, and you get quite a few different flowers with them, so I'm hoping to kind of piecemeal them out. And I also got this little ornament, totally optional for your wreath, but I kind of like a little ornament to kind of accent things when I'm doing a wreath. At least I'm liking it right now. So we'll find out how this works. I also have some burlap ribbon that's a bit wider that I purchased in the past at, I believe, Joann's Fabric and Hobby Lobby. They were $10 a piece, and they were 15 feet of ribbon. So this is what I'm starting with. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I almost forgot one thing. You want some kind of wire. I didn't have time or money to go out and actually buy a whole thing of wire, so I'm attempting to use some ornament hooks that I also got at the Dollar Tree. We'll see how this works out, but first thing I want to mention to you, as you're contemplating making a wreath for someone, is to keep in mind who you're making this for, where they might use it, and where they might display it, that is, before you start your project. Why you want to think about this? Well, for starters, when we made the ornament wreath that had so many thumbs up and positive comments about them from Pinterest for my friend, we didn't take into mind that hers would be hung on her door outside, even though it was with the help of an overhang. And each time she would open and close the door, it would be jostled. So the ornament idea was not good for a door that would be coming in and out of all the time. Also, you want to check your burlap if you intend on giving this to someone or using it yourself without an overhang by your door. Make sure it won't have colors that are going to bleed on your door. Also, if you're looking at foliage, make sure that won't bleed or be banged against. So think about these things a little bit when you're actually acquiring your products to make your wreath. A lot of ribbons even say on them whether they are intended for indoor use or outdoor use. That might help you when you're acquiring your products as well. My friends that I make them for tend to have overhangs or use them inside, so I really didn't care too much whether the burlap was indoor use or outdoor use because it's pretty much going to be the same. However, I did think about durability when I was making this wreath because I want to make sure once it gets banged against by a door, it's not going to come apart this time. At least I'm going to try to make that not happen this year. So those are a few things to keep in mind when you are starting to gather your supplies to make your wreath. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do in making my wreath is take off any tags that are sticking around on the items that you bought to make your wreath. Ding! That easy. And then I want to try to figure out how I want to distribute my garlands. my garland and my ribbon. So, for instance, I mean, I could just go like this and wrap it on and then do the ribbon the rest of the way. And I'm contemplating that, but I'm not sure yet which way I want to do it, or I could take each pieces off and put them on individually. So this is the first thing that I'm going to be doing for making my wreath. Also, what is very important while doing any project for Christmas tunes. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this, and I'll be back with you in a bit, and we'll see what happens. So far, I have placed my foliage. Basically, I did one bunch right below the next one, and so forth, and then I used my, you can't see them very well, oh, here we go, my hangers that I bought at the Dollar Tree for $1. They're green, just in case I wasn't able to hide them very well, and I attached them with those wires. Basically, I attached them as wires with the hangers, that is. And then when I was done with attaching the actual foliage, I then started wrapping my trusty ribbon all the way around. So far, I've used one strand of ribbon, and it has gotten me roughly halfway around my wreath. So we'll see what else happens. Of course, Christmas music, very important. I'm using the actual frame itself and kind of tying the ends inside of it. I might even use some of this, actually I will use some of these hangers and tie it inside just to make sure that it's stable. Just make sure that none of your wire is sticking out, because you don't want to hurt your friend's fingers when they go to pick up their wreath. Okay, so I've now tied it in. I'm going to rewrap this just a smidge so that it's easier to move around. You know it's going to unravel any moment while I'm doing this. So I'm going to go back around the last area. It's basically like wrapping a bandage around a wound. Okay, I'm getting towards the top here. Alright, so the end does not have a very good spot to just tie it inside, so I'm going to use my trusty wire that I've mentioned a few times already and go inside. Locking it into the ribbon itself and around the frame itself, and hide it down inside there. So there we go so far. And if this is all that you were able to do so far, I used 3 bundles of foliage at $1 a piece for $3. The frame was $1. And the ribbon was $1 a piece. It took me 2 rolls of ribbon to accomplish this. So I spent $6 just accomplishing this. So if you're trying to make a little wreath on a shoestring budget. There you go. Voila. Oh, I'm sorry. It cost me $7 if you count the ornament hangers, which many people have lying around the house. Also, they double for, of course, ornament hangers in your own home when you're done. So you're really not wasting any money. Now, because I love my bestie, and I want to make this extra pretty, although it might also be extra annoying, I'm wanting to also put a little ornament on that I picked out for her. So I'm going to go figure out how to put that on now. Okay, I'm finding the one spot in my wreath that had a bit of a gap. I'm using the ornament to cover that gap. I am stringing the ornament tie around itself, and then I'm using my ornament hook as wire again to firm it up there. Ta-da! Just one more fine-tuning. If your wire is not long enough, wire being ornament hooks as wires, and you want this to be done with ornament hooks as wires, all you need to do is find 2 or 3 or however many you need to do to elongate it and tie them together. I don't know if you can see that from as far away as you are. I think I need 3 for what I'm wanting to accomplish right now. That should work perfectly. What I'm wanting to do is make sure that this ornament, since it is a bell, doesn't knock around too much because I don't want it to damage your door. I know, so picky. So I'm hooking these ornament hooks through the ornament itself. And finding a spot, if I can, on the wreath to attach it to. I didn't say this would be easy. There we go. So there we go. I made sure they were hooky before I put them in. In other words, I manipulated the ends of each one to make sure they were a good hook so that they would come into my, my ribbon and through my frame. So this is now secured as much as it can be. It may end up becoming unsecure as time goes by, but at the moment it's secure. It is secured to that portion. Everything is put together. Now, the only thing I have not done is figure out a hook for them to put this on their door. Now you could just give it to them like this and they could put it on a door hanging, wreath hanging hook that you can buy most places. I'm also going to trim off the different places that, oops, my burlap kind of came undone. Since this did cost me $1, it's not the greatest finish of burlap, so you might have little excess burlap string coming out when you're done, and you might like that. It gives a little unfinished look, but you also don't want this coming totally undone, so personally I am clipping at least the big ones that I see, so this might last as long as possible. And there you have it. A wreath, all with supplies from the Dollar Tree. I made it myself for only $7? $8, sorry. 3 bustles of foliage, 1 ornament, 1 frame, and 2 sets of ribbon at $1 a piece. They were 3 yards, so just to let you know, this requires 6 yards of wrapping. And there you have it. Oh, sorry. And ornament hooks. Optional-ish. Think she'll like it? Hopefully this will last longer than the ornaments one. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. From me and mine, to you and yours, Merry Christmas and a cup of good cheer.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everyone! Mwah!
Nelly Thank Sweet Mosage.
How do you say Merry Christmas?
Jackson.
All right.
Feliz Navidad.